Hello, everyone, and welcome to our pre-meditation talk. And today, what I wanted us to talk about is the we talked last time about a segment of our Catalyst meditation, and I want to focus on a different segment now. And this is the segment I want us to focus on is when we talk about us blending our energies. Now, you'll remember that before this, um, what we uh, what we talk about is acknowledging all beings, and we acknowledge beings in a way that many of us don't normally think about. We acknowledge the beings and the sometimes invisible beings that have a deep impact on our lives. The meta beings, like we're living on a very, very, very huge dog. So we're the fleas on the dog. Um, and as long as we don't get too rambunctious, the dog tolerates us really well. When we get really rambunctious, the dog will start scratching and scratch us off. And it's important for us to have a good relationship with the dog. A better example would be um, the relationship between the hippopotamus and the birds that clean the hippopotamus's teeth. Um, After the hippo, it's early in the morning. A hippopotamus doesn't come out too many times the right way. Um, but After the hippo eats a meal, he or she sits in the river and just opens their mouth. And there are these birds that come in and just literally eat the food that's between the hippo's teeth. Now, the hippo gets a benefit from this. It gets a bright, sparkly smile, um, and but the birds also get a benefit from it. Um, they get a full meal of what's left over between the hippo's teeth. So this is an example of how two completely different beings blend their energies. And Becky, I'm going to ask you a favor. If you can I don't know if you can or not, but you can lower your camera just a little bit so I can see more of your face because your name is blocking it in my view. And so there you go. So we have the same kind of relationships with thousands and thousands of other beings that we need for our food, beings that we need for our digestion, beings that we need for our eyesight, beings that we need for our our positive flow in life, and we generally ignore them, and we generally turn our backs to them, and when we get out of balance, we kill them. That's what Pepto-Bismol is for. That's what Imodium is for, to kill all the beings in your stomach. And if you kill enough of them, you'll feel better. Um, we, human beings, need to have a very different kind of relationship with each other. And we need to have a different kind of relationship with the beings that we are in concert with. Um, One of the reasons we get out of balance with other beings is that we have um, a strange relationship with life, in that we um, equate value with money, we equate life with money, we equate our relationships with everything, including our relationship with the divine, to money. Um, Someone, and it may have been someone on this call, I don't remember what the context was, and this is recent, where someone said that the reason that uh, the folks out west in the early days decimated the buffalo was because they were trying to kill off the food source of the Native Americans and subjugate them. And I disagreed. I seriously disagree with that. I don't think that much thought was involved. I think it was simply, if I kill that buffalo, I make $1. That's how much the buffalo hides were going for. If I kill 10 buffaloes, I make $10, and $10 was a lot of money back then. If I kill 100 buffaloes, I make $100. Do the math, and you just keep killing. That consciousness has been with us for a very, very long time. Um, the It's the same consciousness that takes all the fish out of the ocean. It's the same consciousness that takes all the nutrients out of the land and led to the Dust Bowl. And that consciousness is energy is money, and it all belongs to me. That consciousness is still in operation right now, every single day. That is one of the main consciousnesses that we're trying to change. And part of the reason that we're trying to change that, part of the way we're trying to change that, is by changing our relationship to the energy itself. Let's talk about energy for a second. I may have mentioned, and if I didn't, I'm going to mention it now, that if you look at a bullet and you look at a big firecracker, there's much more gunpowder in the firecracker than there is in the bullet. The reason that firecrackers don't kill people every time you set one off is because the energy, although there's a lot more gunpowder, the energy is diffused. The energy goes in every possible direction. I was going to say 360 degrees, but there's a whole lot more degrees in a sphere, so it goes everywhere. And because of that, it doesn't do anything. That's where human energy is right now. The places where we are focusing it are places where somebody thinks that they can make money. The places where we don't focus it is on everything that's important. We need to change that picture. And our ability to change the picture comes from us doing what we're doing right now, or what we will be doing in 15 minutes. The energy of the bullet focuses all of the powder, focuses all of the energy of the bullet in one direction, and that's the direction that you want the bullet to go in. So we have to focus our energy. The focus of the energy is in our declarations, and we'll talk about that next time. But right now, I want us to talk about the blending of the energy. So what I will be saying in 14 minutes, is May all who are part of Gaia or are part of Mother Earth be connected to and in perfect health, harmony, and balance with each other and with Gaia for the common good. Okay, so let's break that down. Um, so, all who are part of Gaia, that's all living beings, no exceptions, including beings that are so unlike you that you have a hard time accepting them as living beings. The Earth is a living being, and if you speed it up, you can see it moving, changing, erupting, vibrating. We don't see that because we're too sped up. We're like mayflies to the Earth. Doesn't mean that we're not alive. When mayflies look at us, they see these solitary, sedentary, non-moving objects. Because to a mayfly, we move too slow. So, number one, we're all alive. Number two, we're all connected. Okay, and so to recognize our inextricable connection to each other from the very beginning. We are in perfect health, harmony, and balance. And what do we mean by perfect? Perfect means that all this stuff is flowing exactly as it should. Now, that doesn't mean it's necessarily likable. While I was down in New Orleans and Atlanta and Baton Rouge, I got reintroduced to mosquitoes, and we are just so blessed out here by just not having them, or we keep them way out in the woods. Yeah, it was very, it's very pleasant walking around here and very unpleasant with the mosquitoes there. But we're still in relationship with each other, okay? And that relationship is every once in a while, I'm a meal for somebody, okay? And I need to recognize as I eat life, life eats me. Now, I would like to have it so that my being eaten isn't that inconvenient, that my being eaten, it won't kill me. My being eaten has some relationship, experiencing one or two mosquitoes in a visit. I don't want to say this to the mosquitoes, but it's okay, Having 100 mosquitoes in a visit would be not okay. Having 1,000 mosquitoes in a visit could be deadly. But we're in some level or some way of a dynamic equilibrium of health, of harmony, of balance. And if I can't coming into balance does not mean coming into balance does not mean coming into balance for me. It means coming into balance for life. And sometimes that means that I'm the beneficiary, and sometimes that means another being is the beneficiary. I don't know if you've been to I did this in Thailand, but there are other tropical countries that have these tropical fish, these little tiny tropical fish, and you stick your feet into a tank of these fish, and they eat the dead skin off of your feet and your legs. If you've never done that, you're okay for not doing it. It definitely will change your attitude toward life when you realize that these beings, these tiny fish trying to get in between your toes, are doing you a favor. And you're doing them a favor. There's favors everywhere, and you are the food. Um, it's quite something. Um, so so when we clarify our energy, that my energy doesn't belong just to me. My energy is a continuum of hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, and the scientists are saying now trillions of separate beings, of separate and integrated beings. That once you realize that you are the focal point of a colony, you can treat yourself and treat others a different way. Because I was traveling this past week, um, I had some very interesting meals, almost all of them delicious, some of them toxic. um, and there several times I've had to apologize to this colony for what went into my mouth. And even the concept of it helps bring you into a closer sense of health and harmony and balance. Um, so let me spend a minute talking about the last part of the of our blending energies part of the meditation, where we're coming into health, harmony, and balance with each other and with Gaia for the common good. Now, again, unfortunately, we've been taught that the common good means money. That if I'm making more money, I'm doing well. If I'm not making more money, I'm doing poorly, and that becomes the litmus test that we use for the health of our economy and the health um, of our planet, of our nation, and that should not be the measure. And the reason I say that is that it doesn't it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you where you need to go. Um, um, my question always is not what can I say about this, but how little I can say about it in the next 5 minutes. So when you look at your life, your energy, um, if you can separate out the money part of it from the life part of it, you will be really helping to build this new society and a new energy. Um, when I buy fish, I can go to Fred Meyer's and they put some on a scale and they'll weigh it and they'll wrap it up and I take it in and I eat it. Not before I recognize during that entire process that I am in relationship with the fish. If I don't have a relationship with the fish, I can just keep consuming, 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 and nothing happens. That is the definition of being a breaker. That I can act in the world and nothing happens to me. We need to change that. We need to change that attitude, and that part of our catalyst meditation is to help us to change that attitude, to change the attitude to what is going to be good for us. And it doesn't necessarily mean what's good for our economy, what's good for, for the right taste, etc. But we have to hold all of these things while we are saying to all of the beings, thank you. If we're the hippo in the river and we open our mouths, I'm benefiting these birds, but these birds are benefiting me. And I'm saying thank you. And by saying thank you, you change out of the relationship from I'm making money or I'm saving money, and you change into a relationship that says we are one and we're benefiting each other. One last thing before I'm moving into our get ready for catalyst meditation mode. You'll notice I walk through several different states, 7 or 8 different states of how we can be in health and harmony and balance. We can be in the physical state, we can be in the emotional state, we can be in the relational state. The relational state is how we relate to each other, how I relate to myself. We can be in the mental state, we can be in the spiritual state, the holonic state, how all of us become one entity, one meta entity. We can be in spatial and temporal states. It's interesting how some of us on the call are in Portland or the Portland area. Some of us are on the other side of the country, no, other side of the state, the country, the planet. I don't think I'm looking at my list right now. I don't think we have any space aliens, but if there are any, please identify yourselves. And so, so our ability to see all of these states, to be in all of these states, and to bring ourselves into health, harmony, and balance goes a long way for us to recognize our commonality and also recognize the power that comes when we get our trillions of beings in our own bodies in gear and start moving forward in some direction. Okay, that's it for our time. And as I usually say, this was a monologue, not a dialogue. The dialogue part comes in when we get done with our catalyst meditation in a few minutes. And I'm hoping that we have a good conversation at that point.